Instantly drop whatever you're doing.
The zombie apocalypse isn't real.
It's a family-friendly podcast.
You hear me on the mic?
It's primitive, and you can use primitive language to understand this person.
Hey man, what's going on, bro?
Dude, how's it going?
Hey, you cool? Are you cool?
Are you down?
Hey man, are you cool, man?
Are you down for some?
It'd be a lot cooler if you were.
Hey.
Charles is a dude. I like that dude.
Who doesn't?
Welcome to the Hot and Cold Podcast.
Where it's all meat and no mashed potatoes.
You're sitting in my seat.
I'm sticking to Texas no matter what happens. Texas
Tried
is
and
America. If you take out Texas, you take out America.
Please advise, the information here is very safe
Totally safe.
and helpful.
Very helpful.
Well, good, and thanks.
Well, it's like my father told me. Let me explain.
If you leave your house, you will be found and shot.
We're sober here. This should be played at high volumes.
It morphed into actual English. Basically, yeah.
You think you could win a fight with a bear, Cole?
Absolutely. Why don't y'all come on down here? We're going to show you something.
Coffee. Yo! It's hot and cold.
Are you ready?
Let's rock and roll.
Because I've kind of just started, instead of like doing an intro, I just we're here to talk, right? So let's just talk. However, all the time I go, Misty fucking Diaz, and I want to say Misty motherfucking Diaz. And then I also say Diaz, is it? Well, Diaz.
Diaz, is it? Yeah.
Do you know what that reference is to?
I know, like,
Blue Streak.
that's it. Because a
Martin
guy
Lawrence.
on one of my deployments used to do that
Always do.
all the time. And after a year of deployment, it's just not that funny
It's
anymore.
not that
But
good.
now, it's funny again.
You know, like, the masks aren't taking away from the sound at all. I kind of
No.
feel like we're rolling. I'm not going to wear the mask today. I just wanted to start the podcast with it to prove it is important to wear a mask. However, now that we've sat down and we're talking, I feel it's okay not to wear one. Do you agree? Or
I'm okay with taking it off.
okay, good.
We would be at home otherwise, I hope. I feel like it's really only a matter of when
Yeah,
I catch it. So
Okay,
I'm
so-
dodging it, but
that's where I'm at. I believe we're all going to get it.
it's like a zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse. I'm just,
And luckily, it's not a zombie, right? Like, without.
I don't really want to be dead alive right now. It's not really, I have some stuff I need to get done.
I don't.
So-
I'm not downplaying the seriousness of it, but
Right.
it's not the zombie, and it's the flu, and it's gonna suck really bad if you haven't already got it. So apparently, I guess the good thing is, like, with all the higher amount of cases, the deaths are definitely like down,
I think so, yeah.
and so that
I
makes me
think
feel
so,
more.
right?
Well, that's the numbers.
Okay.
And now, I think numbers can be displayed however you want them to display them. And is it a percentage of the new cases,
I know
less
they're all in
percentage
Texas.
are dying? Yeah. What about Florida? Is it like
Yeah, they're not
So
very well either.
why is Texas and Florida and whatever city busting out more than the others?
Because we do what we want.
we do what we want.
Out of control state.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's that like freedom, stick it to the man kind of like
That
independent
vibe going on in Texas.
Yeah, you know, that's aspired to as well, right? Like, people want that. But now we're dealing with some of the repercussions of that.
Wild West cowboy.
So is that bad? I mean, are we like bad people?
Yes.
I mean, I think there's something to it. Like, it's okay to like shut down for a little bit and like let the world heal, right? Like,
Life goes on.
yeah, I mean, okay, you spend your whole life being independent and like stick it to the man. So let's just hang out for a little bit while everybody, gets through this virus. I don't know.
I'm staying home. I get scared going
Yeah.
to the grocery store, but
Yeah.
gotta eat sometimes.
So it's been over 2 weeks now, but we went to Galveston with 20 kids.
Jeez.
And we were in a house
Ew.
together.
gross.
And then we'd go out. Of course, it was mandatory masks when we went and everything. And so my point is, during that time and 2 weeks since, nothing. Now, wonder if half of them got it and they're just asymptomatic. It's just, you just don't know.
Yeah, knowing people now that it's been out longer who have been impacted by it.
Yeah.
It's feels like it's creeping closer and closer. But no, one of my friends, her husband had it, and of course she had it, but she had nothing. Didn't phase her, and he was deathly ill.
Deathly.
So I hope I'm one of those.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Test me every day.
So that's part of the fun part about this conversation is okay, so every morning you wake up to get corona reports, basically, whether you want to or not, right? You've got it on the news, you've got it on Facebook, you've got it on whatever social media platform you watch. Mm-hmm. And in our brief time just right now, how many different elements did we discuss about?
All of them.
And imagine one, I'm a thinker, I'm a overthinker, I am at times insecure, not at times, a lot of the times. And so you're always thinking about those things, right? And imagine your mind being engrossed in that constantly.
I'm a feeler.
Yeah.
So I feel the panic more so. So if I just shut those off.
Okay. So feeling is kind of that though, right? It consumes you.
It's a little easier, I think, to shut off your emotions than your mind. Your mind is awful.
Awful. So, which leads to your profession expertise.
Brain doctor. No.
Yeah.
Well, mental health.
Sure.
The mind.
So, I think in this time when we're surrounded by the questions and answers and shrouded answers of COVID, it could do damage to someone's mental health, right?
Well, it has been.
And yeah. And you see clients now.
Most of my clients are new. The ones that are on my heavy
Wow.
caseload. All of the ones that I had prior to COVID, I mean, fortunately, but unfortunately for me, they're all getting better. And so I see them less and less.
Yeah.
And so now all of this new group of clients that I have are affected by COVID in one way or another.
Man, and so it's not. Do you think these folks were struggling before, and this is sticking your finger in a wound type thing?
There are less distractions.
Yeah.
And you can only bake so much.
Yeah.
Your shit's gonna come up. Stuff.
No,
Junk.
and so COVID may be that indicator. So you could almost argue that was a good thing. That now they're able to deal with those things that maybe they were suppressing before. COVID brought it out.
I want to go to the bright side of what's come out of this, but I agree with you. It helped us kind of take a look at what we've been ignoring for generations. In some cases.
I think that, so in 2005, I'm going to say, I think is when I signed up on Facebook.
Nice.
I was 1 year longer than I should have been in college, and because I think your technical 4 years would be 2004, and then
Timelines.
Well, I know. Here I am thinking about these. So I had a girlfriend at the time that signed me up on Facebook. That was the new. Of course, then we went back to MySpace, and then
MySpace.
Yeah, and then MySpace definitely plummeted for some reason. Then went back to Facebook. So 2005 to I gotta say probably 15 at least, because is when I think about 14, 15 is when it was full on. Everybody is on Facebook and their mother, right, and their grandmother. There's a lot of kids I work with now that aren't on it. at all. And I'm saying Facebook. I think that's the beginning of social media as a large, and so let's extend from that. Instagram.
I'm late to the party on all these apps.
Really? You're on
I'm
the
active
book
now.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
late to join the party, but now it's like, now I got something to say.
Yeah, right. That's good. Hey, that's my favorite thing about following you, by the way, is like I love the memes. Is that what they're
Yeah.
memes?
Yeah.
All day. Please do that like forever and ever because
It's just, it hits different.
hopefully I can pull some up when I edit and like bust them on the video.
Nice.
I part of who I am now is recognizing how messed up we are, right? But I think we're all messed up, and so admitting to that and trying to be better for it is where the challenge lies.
You know, that's fascinating because I think I've been consumed in the mental health field so much. I'm either in therapy, doing therapy, working with my therapist, colleagues and classmates and everyone, that I stay in that space.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to people outside of mental health, it feels a little too much. You're asking too many questions, basically.
Hey,
And
that's what we're here for now.
I know. No, when I talk to them, it's I'll ask, well, what happened a year ago? Well, what made that happen? Or where, how was your relationship with your parents? Or
Yeah.
any of these questions I would ask my clients aren't appropriate, I guess, for the general population. Some people just aren't ready to go there.
No, not at all. I remember when we got done last time, it was so, I just love that aspect when you're like, so how was your relationship with your mother? And I'm like, wait, you're almost like on guard immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I did a Big Brother, Big Sister program, right? And they have a very extensive interview process. And they were laying it on me like it was legit. Like I don't think I've ever had that many personal questions asked.
Do you go to therapy?
No.
Ooh.
See, that's it right there. It's that, ooh.
Interesting.
I'm reading your
Intriguing.
mind.
Do you prefer cherry or green Jell-O?
Let's see here. Do I want to answer? And then here I am. Do I want to answer the question that's right, or do I want to be honest?
Which one's right?
And either one, I don't know. I'd have to really think about that one. So, green. Okay, let's do that. Green cherry. Wait,
Red or green?
red or green cherry?
Well, cherry's red, I guess.
Oh, so that was, you just gave in. It was the red or green, not.
It's really just a trick question
Yeah,
to get
see?
you to freak out over a
Wait,
choice
which
of
one do
Jell-O.
Which one do I? So I was thinking cherry, and then you said green Jell-O. I get it. Fascinating. Even now, when I know you're playing with me, it makes me like, what is she thinking?
It's the kind of answer I thought you would give.
Yeah.
Jump on the bandwagon, Cole.
Oh, I love it, man. You're always going with the bandwagon, Cole. See, that's what I thought about you.
I expected that from you.
Oh, gosh. So what you're saying is it's all just a fun game that you're having with a bunch of people that come in.
No, I'm really fascinated. It's as if, because I have like zero memory from medications, from trauma, from you name it. And so it's amazing how much, like as soon as my client sits on that couch, their whole entire story comes back to me.
Oh, okay.
And it'll even be, I'll remember, the Brian with the dog that puked on, and they're like, how do you remember that? Because as soon as they go out the door, it's like I shut the door.
I feel like that's healthy, right? Like you're able to deal with, it's kind of like, military, right? Like they go deal with these tragic stuff. If they're able to, they can address it when it's time to address it, but literally shut it off when it's there. Oh man, shutting things down. That seems a little scary, right? Like completely.
It's terrifying. I really have empathy for my clients because I'm their therapist. It's just, and with let's talk about it again. COVID, I'm not exposed to as many people, not having that social connection, and you can lose your social skills.
Yeah.
You can lose that. So I feel like I'm semi losing them because I don't have much tact
Yeah.
It just comes out raw, like, oh, you must have had problems with your dad around age 12.
Yeah.
And it's not always the best thing. And so
right. You know?
my clients they get it. I'm like, okay, you want to hear what I really have to say?
Yeah.
And they're just like, yes, I need it. I'm like,
Is a lot of that position hearing the deepest, darkest things?
my favorite line, let me tell you,
Yeah.
is I've never told anyone this
Yeah.
before.
I'm trying to think if I have any of those. I'd have
Oh,
to-
you do
Oh,
somewhere.
I do.
They're dark in those shadows.
So I'm not here to preach, but I prescribe to Christianity, right? Like, and that's a big part of who I am. And one of my favorite things about that is going back to what I started about admitting you're kind of screwed up and you need to, so admitting that and trying to be better for it is one thing. But also, there is a little bit of a group therapy thing there. On that trip to Galveston was with the kids.
Oh, is that for the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You do
And-
great things. It fascinates me.
whatever.
You're a good
It's
person.
fun.
The Big Brother thing, the church. I like it. It's.
I will today. I can. Here we go. Deep stories, right? Like, so I've never been in like a serious relationship, right? And so I've always, although I've sought it, but not having that. That's all right. I was first.
That's so.
I put on vibrate.
Okay. Me too.
Not having that has allowed me to
Not having what? Which part?
seeking, having, or being involved in a relationship with
Okay.
another person for more than a small amount of time.
Okay.
I think has allowed me to well, one, I think my time is free. I'm not committed to spending time with a certain person.
That's how you see that?
Hey, I'm just trying to figure things out here.
Go
like,
ahead. Just keep going.
Yeah, and so through doing that, I've then found things that then fill me up as well, right? Like, so yeah, I do a lot of these fun giving back things, but a lot of it really fills me up.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a teammate
Sure.
doing that with you?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Like, this is not necessarily by choice now. Some of my vanity, perhaps, it's more by choice, right? I've had opportunity.
Just not feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yet.
Like, yet. Sure.
I completely believe it will happen.
Yeah.
You're going to groove with someone at some point. But when you're single, boy, it sure feels like that's not going to ever happen.
Right. And
But there is. I know there are people out there that you'll groove with, regardless of the soulmate thing, the twin flame. There's somebody out there who's going to groove with your energy.
so my belief is like, it's not, okay, there may be, but it's not like she's the one.
Maybe.
Right. What I mean by that is like, there's not this one girl out there. I just hadn't found her yet. She's like, it's.
Oh, you're
it's
not looking for the one.
the specific person. That's it. That I'm
You know
gonna
what we
one
need
day
to do?
find her.
We need to manifest her for you.
Yeah, we were talking about manifest destiny the other day on the podcast.
Nice.
Creator.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Well, just you put it out. The way I interpret it is you're putting it out into the universe. You're adamant. You're absolute. You know what you want down to the details of color or
Yeah.
shape, size, whatever it
not-
is that you're looking for, and it'll show up.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, the servant attitude, right? If I were to paint that picture, that would be the strongest, right? And then this is where my vanity comes in. I mean, I want to be attracted to her.
Yeah. of
Define
course.
my attraction to another girl. I mean, I don't know, but it is or it isn't, right? That's the pheromone, almost like Christianity, but that's a part. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
it's important.
belief system, or a basis for morality, right? And so there are things.
Those are really important. I have couples who come in because of just difference in religion.
Mm.
You think you can deal with it or get along with it, but
Yeah.
once you get into a metaphysical or some kind of crisis, it becomes a big highlighted deal.
So, religion is quite interesting, right? Because we don't know. That's the answer. We
Right.
don't know. It's all just a belief system. And however, I think that belief system is important to everybody's, like, what is the five senses? Hearing, seeing, smelling, feel, whatever. But I think belief, faith, if you call it, whatever you want to do, I think is an important element to who you are as a person. And that doesn't have to be Christianity. It could be Buddhism, right? And I'm not going against my Christianity and teachings when I say that, but I'm saying that as a healthy individual, believing in something bigger than yourself is part of being a whole person.
I can
That's my
agree to
2
that.
cents. Now, I'm not
It gives you hope.
sure.
If you don't have hope, then you're on my couch because you're suicidal.
Sure.
That's
Hey,
what happens when you have no hope.
that's a good point. Many of those patients, not all, obviously, but it could go there, are seeking an answer that they don't know, they don't have.
Just when you can't find a reason to go on within yourself, and then you look around and there's nothing around you to
Yeah.
keep you holding on either, you have nothing, then
Oh, wow.
where do you go?
Back to COVID here. I mean, that's what's happening, right? Like, so let's, March 13th, I don't know. It was like a Thursday. Okay. Whatever.
It was like a week before my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore shutdown.
And you had the biggest party in the world planned, right?
All by myself.
Yeah.
Party of one.
We were at the it was a Wednesday evening. We were at the church. The kids meet on Wednesday, but this Wednesday we were changing light bulbs in the gym. So I had this like thing that the lift that goes all the way up 50 feet in the air, and I'm like, just changing these bulbs that are this big. And the kids are putting up tables and chairs for a fundraiser dinner that they were putting on, right? Like spaghetti dinner. Yeah, it was like normal times, you know what I mean? And like that Friday is when they shut everything down. So we didn't have the dinner. They didn't have church. Like, and then it was over, right? So here we are meeting with large groups, doing all these things. And then 2 days later, I'm at my house. Look, I'm used to being alone, so it's not that bad for me. Get my coffee in the mornings, play my music, make sure the business is doing good, whatever,
Yeah.
I had a couple of clients looking for houses and buying houses during the quarantine. That kept me busy. And it was interesting with the masks and not wearing masks and viewing homes and going to homes. Anyway, nothing. Like, I was a little bit we were joking about that. Like, you and I were like a little bit more accustomed. We've been practicing for this our whole lives, right?
Right.
But man, some folks,
The extroverts
You
lost
need-
it after a few weeks.
oh
The
man.
extroverts need people to recharge.
So your influx of patients, right? Like that's where,
Anxiety was the highest from everyone.
yeah.
Anxiety was just didn't know how to manage it. It wasn't before you have releases, you go to a friend, you go somewhere, you go shopping, whatever your deal is.
Yeah.
And with
They couldn't.
nothing.
Zero. So now we can go, we just wear a mask.
Yeah, and it really depends on how your perception of what's happening.
Yeah.
And, if you're not that concerned, there's guilt for not being concerned. But if you are overly concerned, then it traps you in your home.
Wow. The trap of quarantine is a mental trap as well, right? Like,
And that's why you got to be healthy. You got to be alone with your mind.
golly. So meditation, we're talking
There
about.
are so many little key things to help you stay
Okay.
grounded.
Can you touch on a few
Yeah,
things?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of senses, one thing and I use it, it's the only thing that works instantly for me. And a lot of my clients really enjoy it. But when you get emotionally flooded or triggered, or you're just having one of those moments, name 5 things you see, 5 things you hear, 5 things you taste.
That's
Go through all of your senses.
Okay.
And you don't even, most of the time, get through all of the senses
No.
because you calm down, you
Yeah.
self-soothe. And so that's able to at least bring you out of that trigger moment where you're just responding or reacting on emotion and a memory that you don't quite remember.
Is that a better way of counting to 10? Right, like
It's about, you need to get to around 9, I think. Brene Brown
Okay.
is her thing. 9 seconds until, or no, Esther Perel, until you can de-escalate. Wow. And so this is either 3 deep breaths, inhale 3, exhale 4, whatever
Wow.
it is. And there are so many interesting little tips that really, I just feel like I was giving people little breadcrumbs to like, come on, we can get through it. You
Yeah.
can do it just day by day. We're not looking at the metaphysical here. 'Cause
Wow.
it's too big.
So, American flag, concert poster, right? Is that kind of the idea? And
Yeah. And it'll take you out of whatever that memory is triggering you.
then you're trying to recognize if
What?
that, sure, and if that, what is that, those things that are clogging your mind, right? Like,
And it might not even be your mind. A lot of these memories, sometimes we don't even remember until you start exploring.
wow.
And that's kind of, I give my clients the option. I tell them we can go to the past and we can explore, we can make connections, we can do some healing, or you can just forget about the past and we'll move on from here and try
Yeah,
to
how
not
do you-
repeat the
Yeah.
same behaviors.
I think I'd want both though, right? Like it just takes more
Oh,
time.
I'm a big, psychoanalysis. Like I go all the way into the root of it.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of your psychoanalysis, I feel like some of it may be, a lot of it may be like the red, right?
Yeah.
Red generally indicates X, okay? But that's not the case for everybody, right?
No.
And you're not saying that that's what it is, right? So if I said I want the red Jell-O, and that means that,
It could have been chocolate or vanilla.
sure, yeah, and it will help indicate something, but it doesn't mean that that's exactly it.
Well, it gives you an idea. Like the Rorschach, I love the ink blots. I have one
Right.
tattooed on my body. I
Nice.
love them. And none of your answers are wrong. It's just whatever your answer is, it can give you a baseline of an idea of where this person is functioning at and like what might be the primary problem.
Okay, it may be a guy thing. I don't think it is, but whenever people give me the ink blots or hey, take this personality test, and I mean like a legitimate one. If it's a magazine one, I don't. But like, those are the worst questions in the world to me.
Really? I
I
have
just-
one for you to take, and I really wonder what.
See, that's the thing is I had a friend that said, and of course, a lot better coming from a doctor, but they're like, oh, you should take this test. I mean, it's so good, and I spent the time doing it, and all the time I'm like, whatever, like somewhat, a little bit, a lot, not at all.
You
and
know
I'm
how
like,
you can really start to do some exploring on yourself by yourself. And it's Christian faith. It's based on Christianity, but the Enneagram, are you familiar with that?
I've heard the term. I don't know.
Okay. And that is the most phenomenal piece of-
Enneagram?
yeah, the Enneagram.
Okay.
It is amazing, and it you'll never change your number. It's just how you learn to perceive the world based on your caregiver's behaviors towards you.
I did something where I was a 2.
You're a 2?
I think
Then
I was
that-
hoping for a 10.
No, there's only up to 9.
I know.
Okay, so you know your number. It's 2.
Well, that may be it, right? Like I'm just throwing this out here, but
I'm
it was a
trying
number.
To think, put you at the characteristics.
I'm
of
gonna
2.
throw down a couple weeks back when I got the text.
You know what?
But
That does make sense.
oh, see,
Now I'm going through all your stories
you
and your
figured
little.
me out, man.
It helps so much, give you just so much information on how this person functions and perceives the world.
And now,
by
so
that
is that
number.
because you read a blurb on that website, or is that because
I've read so much.
you're able to study,
I've
go back
taught
and
it.
reference?
I've done it in groups. Like I've really dug deep into the Enneagram, the tri-types.
Yep, that's it. An Enneagram test.
Yeah, nice.
Let me tell you the number though. What if Yep, I'm a 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
God, what if I said I was a 3? I think you'd be like, oh yeah,
No,
I can see that.
because your accomplishments aren't for the sake of others' recognition.
Oh,
Like you're
that's
paying
very-
attention to other people and you're fulfilling other people's needs. You want to hear this?
yeah. No,
So that you don't have to pay attention to your own needs.
nice.
So you're so busy giving and pleasing and helping. You're a
No.
helper, but
Right.
who's taking care of you?
I agree 100%. And this isn't a cry for help, but it's like, I struggle with all kinds of things, like, and I don't yet know the correct way to fix a lot of those, right?
Follow the Enneagram. It
And
tells
that's
you.
where, oh, does it really?
It helps you become the healthiest self that you can be.
That's pretty cool.
So it shows you what it looks like when you're being toxic, and then it shows you how to become healthy.
Yeah, and so whenever I'm able to go do giving, I don't know, serve. Particularly at the church, I'm able to not think about all the needs I have. I just give, and then it makes me feel good.
Yes.
So that I'm over
Yes.
that deterrent. Okay, so after we cut off last time, we started talking, and I was kind of getting into it, and we're kind of getting into some of that too. That's really cool. This isn't a self-analyzation of Cole. However, I like this process. I like how, because I think a lot of people would deal with it too as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not
I
shy.
encourage everyone to do the Enneagram and learn about yourself.
So I was at, we were at, let's just say, church camp.
Okay.
And I'm the adult leader. I'm not a youth minister. I don't preach, but I'm the leader there. So it's all kids.
You're the adult?
Yeah. That's kind of funny going back to like serving, right? It's like, you sure y'all want me to be around these kids? I always tell the parents that, I'm like, if you need me to leave, I'll leave. No, I'm kidding. Not really. So I'm gonna call it anxiety attack, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, so two of the other younger adult leaders were leaving. Which means I probably need to step up, maybe do a little bit more teaching or interfacing directly with the kids. And then we're at camp, and like all I can think about is this. And then back home, I got work, and I got people calling from work, and then I got city stuff, and we had a city meeting that we discussed some things that were kind of high level that you need to focus on a little bit more. And then I had somebody at my house working at the house, and they're calling me asking for questions on what to do while the kids are going. And then we're in the middle of the evening worship service, right, where they sing, and it's like going to church. And I'm like, I mean, my mind's just like, I gotta leave. But if I leave, I'm giving up on these kids. But if I don't leave, I'm still gonna be but I'm not doing anything. You see what's happening here? Like,
Yeah. It's exhausting.
oh my goodness. And I left.
You did leave.
Yeah, it was like the second night. It was like 5 nights total, and I just left. I mean, what's interesting is like, I like slowly, without garnering attention, went to my room, and it's a big room, right? So like, I kind of packed my bag while everybody's just doing stuff. Took my bag out to my truck, went back in, just kind of was looking around. Rolled up I had my sleeping bag. Rolled up my sleeping bag. And that was the indicator somebody would notice that I'm not there, right? So I left the sleeping bag there until I got everything else loaded up. Then I put my sleeping bag in the truck, and the kids were going out doing different things, so I hopped in the truck, started driving off. Then I texted the leader, the youth minister.
An Irish goodbye.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That's like my thing.
Yeah.
It had been for years. Without getting too far off track, that was when the party days, drinking and driving. It's a lot harder to do Irish goodbyes because I don't drink and drive. But then, man, you just like, you got a certain level where you're drunk enough, you're like,
I'm out.
and you're not enjoying it anymore. That's the worst time to get in a car. And I'll just hop in the car and leave.
Nobody
Thank
to
God.
stop you.
Yeah, thank God I'm saved. Like, I didn't like get in trouble or anything. So anyway, text them, adios, goodbye. And it's like,
What was their response? Were they okay with that?
they were just like, I hope I said, the text was something came up. I'm out of here. I said something came up. So sorry, I'm leaving. And I think that they were definitely, upset by it. They're great people. They understand. And I've had a conversation and told them, I mean, literally something came up. There was so much going on, not there.
You were having an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
Most important, right? And so, and I said anxiety attack. I mean, there's a lot of parameters to that, I think, right? Like, I mean, what is an anxiety attack, right?
I call anxiety when you're flooded with emotion and you don't know your emotions well enough to distinguish what you're feeling, so you just call it anxiety.
Yeah.
It's just too much. I don't know what's happening.
Well, and that's what it was. This is just too much. I'm not doing this. I'm getting out of here. And then so the next 2 days I literally was working and getting things back to where they needed to be. And then like so it was a couple weeks of this, I think, going on. So before that was working outside in this Texas heat. And look, I do work outside, but not all day long. And so you do that 3 or 4 days in a row. Some guys are accustomed to it. Many workers are accustomed to that. I wasn't. So physically I was tired too. Anyway, it was like the third day after that, I was finally like laying on my couch, head back, just like,
It took you how many days?
a couple days after that. And it was because the things needed to be addressed, and I was attending to those additional things, right? So I say all that and explain all that to you because that first night when I left, I felt like I could have done something to calm.
Well, that's where when you go to therapy, you get all those tricks that'll work for you.
The therapy helps teach you those tricks,
absolutely.
like flag, concert poster, Dr. Diaz.
And it's able to be more personalized.
Yeah.
If you're a thinker, I give you more logical exercises. If you're a feeler, I give you more feeling management exercises.
Yeah.
Just however you receive the information, I can give to you. Do you need facts? Do you need research? Do you need neurobiology, emotion,
Yeah.
spirituality? Whatever can get you there.
Yeah. I'm glad you just said that. I'm thinking about, there's such a, what's the right word? Negative connotation with therapy or mental therapy. We're too proud to say,
I need help.
we need help. But you don't have to be like maniacal killer manipulator person to go.
It's preventative.
Yeah. Okay. Preventative.
Might as well learn how to manage your emotions so that when a crisis does occur, you know how to manage them.
So I believe all this is so important because of where we're at, right? Like because of COVID, because of mental health, which is not discussed at all on a large level. Take you off of my Facebook feed. Every now and then you'll have somebody share some type of random thing that kind of touches on mental health.
Really?
Yeah. There's not.
Wow.
It's not.
I've flooded my entire life with just therapy.
So, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm very serious about that.
I'm glad. That's really comforting to hear that it's somebody, if you're getting reached by it, there are others.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm just rambling to hear myself talk as an Enneagram 4.
Yeah. Remind me to be serious about the Enneagram. Cause
okay, I will.
I did, like, again, I'm like, when I'm answering these questions, I'm like, I don't know. Can I just go middle all the way? Like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
But there
answer
definitely
it really how you would today if you were presented with this situation. Not how do I think I should respond, or how do I get the best answer.
Sure. And are they designed also is that why there's multiple answers? Like, so when I'm like, I don't know, yeah, or okay, a little bit, like, And they're
It'll
designed to
kind of
help.
guide, like kind of get more detail. Like, are you a feeler? Are you
Yeah.
a thinker? Or, how do you perceive the world?
Man, that's tough. I sometimes feel like when I try to analyze myself, it's just like too widespread. Like there's like, well, okay, because, and I don't think that's uncommon. I mean, I think that's like we are widespread. Our minds are widespread, and when you try to self-analyze, analyze.
It's not a linear process.
Are you able to self-analyze?
I have. Yes. My first big paper in grad school.
Yeah. Wait, about?
I had to psychoanalyze myself.
Really?
Or choose a theory and then use it on myself.
What do you think about that?
I got an A. It was
Yeah?
like 50 pages
Wait.
of just analyzing myself.
Jeez. Okay, so let's stay with that. If my question was more, are you able to do it in the sense that, like, do you have your own opinions on top of your own opinions? But then you got me on, did it help you?
Absolutely.
Did you grow?
Absolutely. I am hardcore. I mean, even my mask is Freud. Like, psychoanalysis is the beginning, the birth, the original.
Freud.
Daddy Freud. That's my daddy. So,
Nice.
So I found it useful because I like to go into the past. I want to know what happened there. What do I not remember? What can I heal? And so starting from there and then moving forward was really helpful for me. And honestly, some people just don't want to go into the past. They'd rather just leave it there locked up.
Okay, was your self-analyzation helpful because you are educated?
I think it's helpful because I'm an Enneagram 4. I'm very self-absorbed.
Okay.
And it's just my thing.
Hey, can 2 and 4 be friends?
My partner's 2.
Nice. That's awesome.
It takes work once you get around each other's not so great qualities,
Yeah.
but the Enneagram prepares you for where you'll find stuck situations.
Do they exclude numbers? Because see,
No, it's not like the Zodiac where
Okay,
it
that's
says
what I was gonna
best
get
or
at.
worst. No,
Yeah.
it's just
don't get too close to a zodiac because that's tough, right? Because I feel like zodiacs are agreeable.
Well, I'm
things.
into that too, so I'm all the metaphysical stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Most zodiacs, and give me your opinion on this. I feel like tell you agreeable things.
Interesting you say that because I was going through my pictures because I woke up at like 3. And so I was making more space and I was reading old horoscopes that I taken a snapshot of because they were so on point down to like the word, the vocabulary.
Wow.
And so I'd take the picture and I read it and I said, I wonder if I could apply that to today. And it's not. So
Okay.
I read today's on my favorite app, right?
Yeah.
And it's
It's up.
phenomenal.
Cool.
I don't know if maybe I am seeing into it. That's okay because
Yeah.
it works for me and it guides me.
No, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, with the Enneagram though, it there's a lot more research. Like there's a lot more information that it has behind it than
Yeah.
I guess the Zodiac, because that is debatable. If people don't believe in it, I don't really, get too personal about it.
Sure,
But
do
the
you-
Enneagram, I'm like, it's true.
It's true. Yeah. Is your zodiac app? You can just find a random zodiac reading,
Right.
right? You think
Mine is so on point.
Okay.
It's bizarre. I'll show it to you and we'll read yours and see
Okay.
how accurate yours is.
You will have a meeting today with a smart individual and talk about mental health. Whoa.
Weather and misty rain.
That's awesome.
What?
Misty. So, this is fun. What's next, Dr. Diaz? Are we going to continue down this dark path of Cole's mind? Because I feel like I've shared a lot
Do you feel
here.
like you're kind of
Like, I feel like I'm
vulnerable?
on
You're
your
a little
table.
emotionally unzipped?
I might feel that way right now. I mean, like
That's common.
We're like, and I feel okay for this podcast particular. Okay, I'm Grand Prairie City Councilman. So like
That's awesome.
part of politics is like, in my opinion, and my intention is being in the middle, taking everybody's approach, everybody's opinions, what everybody wants to do, and making the best decision for the whole. Okay, that's my approach to listen. And also, City Council Grand Prairie Place 5 is like this little area that I'm responsible for. You know, too often we compare my position to the President of the United States. I'm not saying that people think that, but on that political spectrum, right? We're not R's or D's in Grand Prairie City Council, right? I may lean one way or the other as a person, but here in Grand Prairie and most cities under 1 million people are not leaning to a political party's a political party's ideology.
Okay.
So my approach to leading as a representative of City Council District 5 is being available and giving my constituency access to any government need, right? I think that's kind of if I went in there to make my own policy or make my own goals, I guess, maybe, that would not be representing the goals of the constituency. So let's go into R&D. You're representing the goals of those R&Ds, not the whole people, right?
Right.
And so you're literally just hoping that you get 50% of what people want. And so I take issue with a lot of the politics. On that note, both parties go to their constituency and ask questions. What do you want to be on? So there's fairness there. Okay, so I say all that because I'm a little held back sometimes on the podcast. I don't want to say too much,
Gotcha.
like cussing, for example. Something as simple as cussing. I'd like to hold back on that
Yeah.
because although there's so many folks out there that it's 2020. Saying the F word is not like hell, right? But then there's also an older generation who would be completely offended by that. Also, who called while we're talking was my, 5-year-old niece. I guessed. She FaceTimes me. And if she's like one of my 7 followers, right? And so like, I don't want to be busting out.
Oh, that's so precious.
I don't want to be busting out.
Teaching her.
On the same note, I don't want to avoid the good topics, right?
Right.
And so, with this conversation
How old is she?
today,
Less than 10?
5.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Carter's 11. He's the oldest, and then Hannah's probably 8 or 9, and then anyway, my niece is in.
Well, those are delicate ages. At what age do you start talking?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I heard a curse word first time I heard a curse word probably didn't affect me at all. Probably didn't know,
What it was?
didn't mean anything what it was. But first time I heard it in a mean demeanor, though, right? That probably
scary.
affected me. That probably scared me, whatever that was. Let's go down that road now. And so already in the conversations, I've shared a little bit more than I feel like I should. And I think that's okay. I think it's taken, hey, you're the quarter century episode. This will be number 25.
Something special.
Yeah, so it took 25 episodes to feel. I'm starting just where I don't care. This is I did this podcast to have fun,
Yes.
not for political gain.
Yes.
To have open, fun conversations that we all need to have. And if I'm held back because of my own vulnerability or my own
Pleasing
insecurity,
others.
pleasing others, oh man, we're talking about I got to please others so I don't focus on my own.
Even though you started this for yourself. Your own passion. Like,
Yeah.
spread some messages.
Yeah. I started it because Joe Rogan has
Inspired you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like what he's doing. It's just who has 3 hours? He does 3 hours. Who has 3 hours to listen to somebody? Well, some people do, and about 6 million people do. I don't know if all 6 million listen to the whole 3 hours. And I'll skip 3 or 4 episodes like that. I don't care about. He'll have comedians on. And so comedians are good on the spot, right? Mm-hmm. They can talk about and make fun of anything at any time. Anyway.
I really like podcasts. So I think you made a wise decision, and this is how you spread your message.
Yeah.
We're listening to podcasts. I mean, there's not...
So can my message be like information and
like
growing?
The difficult conversations or avoided conversations.
Yeah.
The not so popular ones.
So next May, if I'm still doing this, I hope I very much so I will be, is I'll be running for re-election.
Wow.
And so really from like February to May, if someone files against me, I'll be actively campaigning. And I wonder if I'll try to, again, I don't have a big enough spread to like for it to make a difference. But I wonder if there'll be...
well, that's why you have to do what you're going to do with some conviction, with some passion.
Yeah.
Because the decisions I make with my clients, regardless of how big or how small, I always ask myself, am I willing to go to the board and defend this if I get called out? And I'm like, absolutely.
Good.
And so any decision I make, I ask myself if I'm willing to defend that decision.
Yeah.
And go with it.
Yeah. This is good. I want to stay on this. So I did Don Juan's. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been there? That's part of
Been there?
That's part of the story.
No.
Have you ever been to Don Juan's?
What is that?
The old Mexican food
little
restaurant
one right
on Main
this
Street
way
down
or-
there.
Yeah.
In your short time in Grand Prairie,
Yeah.
do you think you ever ate there?
Yes.
'Cause I bet you Crystal and Nate went there often, and so I bet you were part of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I ate there 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm not
Nice.
exaggerating. I mean,
It's good from what I do
It's
recall.
quick
It's worth
food.
going.
It's simple. It's nothing like fancy. Oh, the enchiladas are to die for. No, it's just a glorified Taco Bell. Now, recently I've learned that their ingredients are actually like guacamole, that it's like almost like a paste. That's what theirs looks like, except they ground avocados every day. Anyway, it's good food. So a friend of mine, their slogan is, "Have you been there?"
Okay.
I've been to Don Juan's.
Okay.
It's
cute. Play on words.
they serve beans, right? So he said they checked in there. They opened a restaurant in Payne Springs, Texas, and my buddy posted that they checked in or whatever. And I said, now you can say you've been there, right? And so some guy gets on there and is like, the racially insensitive leaders of our city are saying, no, 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 no. And I'm going, what is he talking about? And I thought, oh. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Here's the deal. The sensitivity, you need to be sensitive to other people's feelings and emotions, but he made that racist. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was a thing. It's a restaurant that serves beans. There's no...
People can find a trigger in anything you say.
Sure. I agree. And so at first I got upset. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. I thought about it. Did I do something wrong? Me personally, I don't feel like I did something wrong. And then good thing is I had multiple people private message me like, what's his deal? Like, what is he even talking about? And that helped reassure me that I didn't do anything wrong. But you know what? I had to sit there and go,
You had to be reassured.
I had this oh crap moment, like, what happened here? And so it was my fault. I don't think this is wrong either, but this is probably a little bit more insensitive. So my response to him was, have you been looking for something to get me? I said, and then I said, I churro, you're not mad at me. I don't want to argue with you.
So you used all the words.
So that was using, but that was worse because that was using a Hispanic accent as a play on words.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a very popular Mexican Word of the Day app that addresses that. That's, I don't know. And then my backup argument is, look, this Grand Prairie where I grew up and live now is probably 80% Hispanic, if not more. I've grown up and been around here. My business serves the Latino community. I'm not Mr. Latino, but I've very ingrained in the culture and I've been a part of it. And so talk to all my Rosas that come in every day and I talk to on a regular basis, and some knucklehead who wants to say some comment like, let's talk and see who's offensive.
Yeah, it's difficult to not let
Oh
them
man,
get
it's
to you.
crazy. Like what one comment, in a way it's almost healthy, right? Like it allowed me
Shows
to
you
like,
where you need to grow.
yeah, allow me to kind of analyze and see like, okay, make sure I'm doing this correctly and not just flying off the cusp. And do I need to be more sensitive, or should I be? Before, I don't know if I would have thought about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before, I would have just rolled with it. But what if it was, in fact, very racist and demeaning, and I didn't recognize that, and somebody called it out? Ooh, conversations need to be had, not because.
Well, I actually, one of your memes that you like, it said racism and COVID are similar in the sense that like people don't acknowledge it unless you're personally impacted.
Sure.
It's like it doesn't exist.
We often, I mean, that's a lot of my response to racism is, well, I got black friends, and that's a tough response, right? Like, but when I say that, I'm like, I hang out with, so when we talk about racism, people are immediately when I say I'm not like people, me and anybody I know want to say I'm not racist. Well, I don't think BLM or whatever is saying you, Cole Humphreys, is racist, right? Like, and so it's interesting that we immediately do that. And then with COVID, same idea. I'm not affected.
See,
Both of those things, I just said I.
Yeah. And it is important to remember that we are, how do I say, we're just in different types of boats.
Sure.
So some of us have the yacht and some of us have a little fishing boat.
It's like that deal that says, I saw that one many a times, was good. We're all in the same boat here. It's like, no, we're not really.
They're different. We're
Yeah.
in the same pond,
Area,
ocean,
pond, yeah,
but
lake.
definitely different boats.
You have a yacht, don't you? Don't
I'm
you?
saving up for one.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Is that the ultimate kind of like, if it's yours and you earned it, like that's got to be like the pinnacle of success, like your own.
To earn.
Yeah, your own boat that's managed with the crew and like you can just go and roll, right?
I don't know. As prior Navy, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
that crazy about boats.
Whatever. You were in like
I'm
a room
over it.
with 100 people stacked
More.
on top of each other, right? Like, I'm talking about your own boat.
I don't want to clean that.
No, that's
100
what.
people.
Hey,
Somebody will like cleaning. There are a lot of OCD people that love to clean.
I'll get into clean mode. I mean, it doesn't reflect now because it's not as often, but like, you know.
I have difficulties with the mundane chores.
Ugh.
Real difficulties.
Once I wrap my mind around it, I can do it. Like, it's like I was doing sheetrock and taping and bedding at the house. And it's like, it's so easy, but yet you got to focus on it. You got to make the cuts right. You got to, and mudding, so like you have these two creases and you got to fill it with mud, and then you got to that's the easy part because you just slap it on there. But then you got to put a piece of tape and like embed that tape into the mud and then clean it up. So then you have that tape and you want it to bind the two together, but yet you don't want it to stick out, but you can't have too much. So you're like trimming it with, it's a flat end, and you're like rubbing it down. And then you got to go back again and cover it. Anyway,
Ugh, gross.
you could say it's an art.
Yeah, that's something
You're trying to
definitely-
design this and so can cleaning be an art?
Well,
Do
everybody
you
has
like art?
their-
I know you like art.
Right. But okay, I'm not sure if it's going on with the 4, but I have difficulty doing mundane tasks, everyday chores, but I can have, big projects to do
Okay.
or my schoolwork. So that gets really intricate. And so I'm able to kind of use my artistic expression through my
Okay.
work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's kind of where I put any energy that I do gather up.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. You're artistic at
Right.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big writer.
That is an art, right? Like figuring.
Journaling.
Oh man, figuring out things and applying your influences, your freudial
It's
influences.
it's overwhelming, the reality of how personal all of this work has to be. So it's not able to just, I can't give myself a schedule. Okay, every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 7 to 8, I'll do schoolwork. It's just, I hope I don't have a writer's block one day this
Yeah.
week.
Hey, do you get traumatic stress?
Well, I have severe PTSD already.
Oh, okay. So let's don't lose that. Let's stay with that. So in your sessions, and I can imagine beginning you may have, and then now not as much. Or let's go back to that, but let's take out your pre-PTSD. During your sessions and what you've experienced in those sessions, is that something that could be traumatic? Or is that...
Well, it can be triggering. You just have to be aware of your own work. That's why it's so important for therapists to have a therapist.
their own, yeah.
You're carrying so much of everyone else's. What is that doing to
So
you?
is it triggering your own previous PTSD?
No, I typically don't, but I refrain from demographics that would be triggering for me or
Yeah.
that I haven't explored that part of my own trauma yet.
Wow.
So I'll just stay away from those. I'm like, I'm not going to really be that helpful because I
Yeah.
still haven't dealt with my stuff. So I'll
Wow.
come back to that once I've done it.
Would you even not take a client?
Well, like I don't do domestic violence.
Okay.
So
So anytime...
I
okay.
can help you in a crisis. I
Yeah.
can get you safe. I can calm you, get you to, help you calm down. But when it comes to the details of the domestic violence
Yeah.
dynamics, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I'm not the best person.
Are you able to... can I call you and be like, Misty, I'm having a breakdown? And let's say I'm your client or whatever. Or not, I guess, right? Like, do you take calls and
So my specialty is suicidality. So I stay on call. I tell my clients, if we don't have already a plan in place and you find yourself that you need to be talked off a ledge, call me. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to call me? Can I trust that you'll call me? And then we'll get you to
you're like
safety.
Superwoman. I mean,
It's
like,
exhausting.
like you're a phone, like somebody is in trouble and they call you and you save the day. That's like,
You've got lives that are very vulnerable. And it's a different type of vibe from the military because the military is more, I'll die for you. Like, I would take that for you. But in session, it's like, I'm not going to let you go and give up on yourself.
wow, very cool. So you're specific on suicidal. Now, is that because your clients have expressed their desire to take their own lives? And here's why I ask. Because all the stuff we've talked about to this point, I think clutters the brain to be unable to deal with it, to then say, I'm ready to take my own life. You see what I'm saying? Like, all the anxiety, all the mental frustrations and things we can't figure out and things that aren't working, then leads?
Not particularly. I would say, so an important factor is not everybody can be suicidal. Not everybody is or has ever been or uses that as an option. So it doesn't phase them.
I get what you're saying.
So if you can be suicidal, even if you're not suicidal today, the fact that you have been, you're high risk for me because you can go there. And whether it's your own behaviors or learned behaviors or it's genetic or hereditary, contagious, however you caught it.
Yeah. So you're saying that the actual act is often hereditary, like part of.
It can be, it will be.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
Whereas some simply don't have that. Maybe they could go there.
Everyone's
but,
so individual depending
yeah.
on how you were raised.
So, look, I'm 38. The thought has crossed my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, to this point anyway, as much as that has or has not come across my mind, I just can't, like, I already know that it would take an awful lot. Of course, I've not experienced an awful lot, right? But, like, I'm like, no. I'm like, just, it's almost easy to be like, oh, just get out. I mean, I don't want to be here anymore, you know? But then the actual, like, act is, like, not even, like, it doesn't even cross, I don't even go that far. Like, it's not even, like, I know I'm not going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, you get down and out and you think about these things. But when you talked about hereditary, I just immediately thought about that. Like, okay, because I often do think about just, I'm going to say weak mind, but that's what we're talking about. But somebody just wants to just give up so easily. Mm-hmm. I've got my father lost his parents when he was young. We might have touched on that last time. Murder-suicide, okay? His approach to life is mental toughness, right? Like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps type deal. He's become very successful. And when I say successful, he's done pretty well financially, but I just mean just like living his best life, right? Like, and so when somebody complains about losing a girlfriend or a spouse, or whatever, a spouse may be a little bit more serious, but I mean like a light trauma, and they become suicidal or talk about suicidal. I'm almost like, that's not the same as like looking for attention as opposed to actually being suicidal. How about that? I'm trying to explain a lot.
So looking or using that as a means for manipulation is more along the lines of personality disorders. However, people who threaten it as manipulation accidentally commit suicide too.
All the time. Wow.
So if a suicide is a suicide for me, like, I don't care what got you there, who you're with, you need to come out of that. Like, we need to get you out of that space.
Wow.
It's just too dangerous.
To even be thinking about it is too dangerous?
Thinking about it is dangerous. There are chronic. So the reason I specialize in suicide is because it is genetic for me and hereditary. And I've actually had a failed attempt. So
wow.
So that's why I feel
I'm
it's
glad
like
you failed.
It's an obligation. Yeah, me too. Right. It's an obligation to reach others who have are either going there so they don't have to get there, or you know.
Okay, so in my opinion, IMHO, in my humble opinion, it's good to think about it.
Think about what?
Well, the answer to that question is everything, but specifically, oh, no, it's not. I was going to say it's good to think about suicide. Would you completely argue against that? And I don't know.
I don't want people thinking about suicide.
At all.
No.
Wait. But we're having a discussion about it. Okay.
We can talk about it in preventative.
We can think. You don't want people talking about.
I don't want them thinking and being in that headspace.
Yeah.
I don't want them.
Oh, this is so cool.
Saying that, I ask my high risks, have you been suicidal all week? Or
Okay.
do you have any ideations? Like, I'll check in on them.
So
I'm
clarifying,
sure.
The difference between being suicidal and just talking about it.
And knowing, depending on if they're chronic suicide risk or not a chronic,
Yeah.
will determine how far they have, if they have a plan. If you're chronic,
Wow.
you've had a plan the whole time.
Yeah.
So asking if I have one doesn't give you any insight.
And you mean chronic, like it's
Like
going
you've
down.
struggled with it
Okay,
for
okay.
a long time. Like
Okay.
it's something that is a consistent thing you have to maintain.
When Johnny, when Susie breaks up with Johnny and Johnny's having a bad day, and he says, "I want to kill myself." Take away everything out. Like, we don't know his entire background, right? That's just as bad, right? I mean,
Well, that's where it's a very serious topic, so I don't pussyfoot around it.
yeah,
I say the word suicide often
yeah,
and call it what it is and talk about it through facts and just look at the long range. How long have you been getting more family history, getting more personal history to see where I feel their risk is at.
yeah.
And if it's just a cry, and it's not as severe, because I know what a real suicide looks like and
Sure.
sounds like. So it's just the severity of it is not something that you want to.
Yeah, so I think what I've concluded is any thought on it is worth treating,
Yeah, just ask somebody.
even if it is just
You just don't want to get there. You don't want to go to that place and not have a plan to get out.
because every first girlfriend, boyfriend that didn't work out, right? Your first love that didn't work out is like detrimental to you, right?
But
And so,
not suicidal.
yeah, but I mean, people want to go. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is people will go down that road, whether
Not
they're really
everyone.
suicidal or not, right? Oh, not everyone. So I just kind of have this image of somebody like experiencing a breakup, and
Well, it's never going to be one thing.
Yeah.
It can be, how do they say, the camel broke his back with
yeah,
the
the
straw.
that broke the camel's
And
back.
so
You know,
it's-
so there's the camel holds so much hay, it's so unbelievable how much you can hold. Then you throw a little bit more in it, and the camel. Sorry.
And that's all it took. Yeah. And so when other people see the ramifications of a suicide, it's easy to just place it on, oh, they did that over a divorce, or no,
Right.
there was so much more.
Well, and
struggling.
that's what I'm digging at here is like, should Johnny have a therapist?
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
And let me just roll with that, right? Like, and I'm not downplaying what you're doing. I'm saying, and I think maybe I can go back to everybody needs a therapist in some way, shape, or form
Yeah.
in my 2 cents. But, I mean, if Johnny goes through these emotions and then he goes out with his friends the next night and meets another girl and it's over, right? His tie to those he had those feelings. Life was horrible because his girlfriend broke up with him. He even thought about taking his own life. The next night, it's over. Okay. So what is that? What's the severity of that, right? Like,
The severity is, what is he going to do when something very catastrophic happens?
when the next thing happens.
When something actual catastrophic happens. If he can't handle a breakup, you're
So now we're defining catastrophic events, right? Like,
something catastrophic
girlfriend-
will happen in life.
that girlfriend is a spouse, or that girl, or instead of a girlfriend, they lose a child or a parent, or a tragic car accident, is far more serious than a breakup. And since he considered it on this light scale, I mean, we're saying light scale, but generally speaking, this light scale of a breakup at 15 years old compared to that's going to grow and be a part of him until that catastrophic thing
It
happens.
becomes a solution.
Wow. Wow. So cool. I find this fascinating and extremely important, and I'm so incredibly happy that you decided to take the time and share.
Thank you. I love talking about this stuff because it's just not
And
talked about.
it's kind of what you do anyway. I see 11, and I think that we're well over an hour.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like good with cutting it. Like
Okay.
now, this was the second time you've been here. I hope you even come a third time. Like,
Yes.
but I don't want to do. You know what? I would do all Misty Diaz. I just want you to know, like it would, like if you, but you know, I don't know how fast I'm going to be doing more episodes. Like it's just tough because some people are very sensitive to doing anything, and I don't want to press. Like I do have a list of folks who, during COVID, they said no, let's not do it. So I don't want to press. You know, I'm not going to say, hey, COVID's, you know, I don't. So I just don't know. I'm going to try to get in one a week, and we'll see kind of where that takes us. It's been a week and a half, you know, so this is like the longest it's been.
Well, if there's ever a topic or a space you need to fill,
Yeah,
reach out.
for sure. And it kind of incentivizes me to even do research, because all this was just conversation, right? Like I didn't do any planning on this. And I know that's kind of the idea. Let these conversations go where they need to go.
Yeah, I'm not so great with the teaching, but I can tell you a lot through conversation.
Yeah. And I'll call it a therapy session. I mean, I don't mind, but I hope you don't think you're coming here to work.
No, this is just how I operate.
Yeah.
I'm always searching.
And that's why I talked about it's good to be a little bit more open about things. Even if it's just me to get so that I'm better. But anybody who might be experiencing similar things, even on a small level.
Even if you're just curious, and not to be discouraged, but it takes about 4 to 5 therapists sometimes before you meet the right match.
Oh, okay.
And it's like dating. You're going to tell this person things you've never wanted to repeat.
Wow.
So it's very important relationship.
Yeah. So those who seek therapy,
Vibe with your therapist, and if you don't,
they got to
just
be
go
your
look
bud.
for somebody else.
Do you ever have issues defining, and not no disrespect to anybody that happened to, but like defining that line between friend and therapist? I mean,
Oh, that gets confused a lot. There's
Yeah.
romantic, there's a physical attraction, there's emotional countertransference. It's called countertransference, and
Yeah.
it's a common thing because you're so vulnerable with this person
Yeah.
who knows everything and still accepts you.
we're supposed to cut this off, but I gotta say that reminds me of, I was reading this yesterday, my notes, not like journal, like writing my day, but like from when I was learning Spanish in Costa Rica. My teacher, I mean, I love her to death, like, and she's a young woman, like, you know what I mean? But like, I think I definitely like am attracted to her maybe, but I mean, I love her. Like, she is amazing. And the reason I say that is I'm reading some of the things. One, by hand, she would draw out practice questions. Like, she would make homework for me. Now, I paid her. Don't get me wrong. I hired her as a teacher. So, but she would, I mean, she put so much detail in helping me learn Spanish. And when I'm like, not getting it, and you're getting frustrated, and like she's like, no, let's do it, you know, it's like, I love this girl, you know what I mean? And you confuse it with, she's probably a butthead. I mean, she's not.
Because you don't ever let anyone help you.
Look, you're going down some more.
So somebody
You're
that
right.
you did let in, it's a huge breakthrough.
Sure. So I'm thinking about, you're right. Like, she was in and helped me, and we achieved so much. What I want to say is that perhaps I don't love her, right? She's just was someone who was helped me get better in an area. So every time I think about Spanish and learn and how I'm better because of it, I attribute to this person, right? But you're right. I can recall someone. And this is stupid. This is retarded. I shouldn't do this, but like, I was helping a nonprofit center, and they like bought me a gift card and like signed this card, and I was like my reaction, like I felt offended. I was like, I don't want. It was like a $50 gift card to. I was like, you're a nonprofit center. I don't want you spending money on me. Like, this is the whole idea. And why was I being like, the card, I said, this card is amazing. It had like 10 signatures on it. And I was like, this is like it, right? But this $50 gift card, go give it to somebody else. And, I was like almost aggressive about it. Like, and I remember she's like, why are you getting mad? I was like, I'm not. I'm like, I just don't want you to be spending money. It almost felt like.
What was your relationship with money growing up?
We didn't have, Dad's very conservative, and we were not poor. So the best explanation is my mom was an office manager, $20,000 or $30,000 a year. This was probably in the 90s. Dad got fired and went to law school. So we had Christmases.
But
we had birthdays.
What was the relationship? Was it that we don't have enough, that we have enough, that
it was we didn't think about it.
Hold on to it.
As kids,
okay.
We didn't think about it.
And then growing up?
Also, we had chores, and I mowed yards. We earned our dollar. Mm-hmm. And then at home, when it was time to get school clothes, we had like X amount of dollars, and that's it. It never seemed like enough. Like, I bought one pair of Jerbots and a pair of shoes, and that was it, because that maxed the dollars. Now, if I was smart and bought 2 pair of Levi's and 2 pair of whatever, you know what I mean? And that was a learning process, right? So at first I wanted the Jerbot jean. That was a $100 jean, because I wanted to be cool, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And then years later, I was like cool with getting a couple of not as nice jeans. So I don't know what my relationship with money is. My goal now is to not think about it. You got to earn it, though. You got to earn it to get there.
Do you not feel like you earned it from the nonprofit?
I absolutely earned that from the nonprofit. However, with a nonprofit, everything that's not outside of giving my own dollars, every dollar needs to be going into that nonprofit. They need all the help they can get.
So for them to share that with you was an incredible gesture.
For them. Mm-hmm. So I should see that as,
wow, these people have limited amount of financial funds, yet
and they're
willing to still.
Yeah. I know. You're good. I agree. Yeah. And that's why I did, like I said, I recognized why am I upset at this? Like, why so.
And those are the triggers, because if it's an irrational reaction and you can acknowledge that, it's a trigger.
So what I'm doing here is, yes, it's about me, because you're analyzing me, but I think it's so important for anybody to stop and think about, anytime they have a bad reaction to something, or they're talking negative about something, or they're getting flustered about something, to stop right there, think about what it is, and try to fix it. Asking the question why is so important to anything that you do.
Even just put it on timeout. You don't even have to figure anything out.
Sure.
Acknowledge it, put it away, come back to it later. But you do have to come back to it.
Right.
So that way you don't have to get caught up in the emotion. It's just an emotion. It's not a fact.
All right. I like that. You don't have to fix it right then. Acknowledge it. It's like tabbing. It's like putting a tab on that moment when that happens, so you can at some point remember that. And that's why I'm talking about it. That's why we're going down this road. And I want anybody who listens to this to take that advice at some point, to be
Just try it. If
Yeah.
it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't, toss it.
be a better person. That's what we're trying to do. Just a little bit better than what we were
A
yesterday.
little self-awareness.
Yeah, goes a long way, I
lot.
think. Yeah. Misty, until next time, okay?
Yes, Cole. Thank you for having me. I love being here.
Woo!
Woo!
See ya.
Bye.